Hi, my name is Easton Lewis, and today I'll be going over Chapter 15, which is the agency law. Agency is a fiduciary relationship between two persons in which one, the agent, acts on behalf of and is subject to the control of the other, the principal. The types of agency relationship is the principal-agent relationship, the employer-employee relationship, and the employer-independent contractor relationship. The employer-employee relationship is the agent who works for pay and is subject to the control of the principal may enter in a contractual relationship on the later's behalf. The respondent superior is a doctrine that imposes liability on a principal for torts committed by an agent employed by the principal and subject to the principal's control. The employer-independent contract relationship is the agent-independent contractor is hired by the principal to do a specific job, but is not controlled with respect to physical conduct, details of work performance, and the principal is not required to make payments towards Social Security or workers' compensation pools. It is also not liable for torts committed by the independent contractor. Next, the chapter describes the creation of agency relationships, and that is express agency, implied authority, ratification of the agent's previous acts by the principal, and the apparent agency. The express agency, the agency by agreement, is formed through an oral or written agreement. The exclusive agency agreement is when principals agrees to not employ any other agent for a period amount of time or until a specific job is completed. The agency relationship is established by using the power of attorney. The power of attorney is an agreement that provides the agent's authority to sign legal documents on behalf of the principal. The agency by implied authority is the agent's authority is determined by the customs and circumstances rather than a detailed formal agreement. Unless mentioned otherwise, courts permit agents to receive payments due to the principal, enter into contracts for individuals employed to discharge employees, and purchase supplies and equipment. The agencies through ratification by a principal is also introduced in the chapter. An agency by ratification occurs when a person misrepresents himself or herself as an agent and the principal accepts the unauthorized act. The relationship is ratified when the principal accepts the unauthorized agreement. The conditions for ratification to be effective is when the principal must have full knowledge of the agent's action. The existence of the principal must be clear to the third party at the same time of the agent's unauthorized act. And lastly, the agency by estoppel, which is the principal is stopped from denying that an individual is his or her agent after leading a third party to believe that the individual is an agent. Estoppel is a legal bar to either allegating or denying a fact because of one's previous words or actions to a contract. The chapter also introduces the principals and agents' liability to third parties. And these are defined as the contractual liabilities, the liabilities of disclosed, partially disclosed, and undisclosed principals, the tort liability, and the crime liability. Contractual liability depends on whether the principal is disclosed or undisclosed to the third party at the time of executing an agreement. Agents are not liable for non-performance of fully disclosed principal. And the next is the liability of disclosed and partially disclosed principals. Disclosed principals is when one whose identity is known by the third party when the later enters into an agreement negotiated by the agent. The partially disclosed principal is one whose identity is not known to the third party at the time of the agreement. The third party knows the agent represents a principal, and the principal is held liable, meaning the agent has the actual authority. The liability of undisclosed principal is when one whose identity is existence are unknown to the third party. Agents may be liable to the third party if the principal does not perform the terms of the contract. And then next is the tort liability. And liability is decided by checking whether tort was committed within or outside the scope of an agent's employment. Joint and several liability, which makes two or more people liable for judgment either as individuals or in proportional combinations. And tort negligence, which is in hiring and supervision, is on the rise. And then next in the chapter is criminal liability. And this is when principals are not liable for criminal acts of their agents, except when the principal participates directly in the agent's crime, has reason to know that a violation of law by employees or agents is taking place. And, going into the next part, sorry about that, is the termination of the principal-agent's relationship. And this is termination by agreement. If either of the parties decide to terminate the relationship, all third parties who dealt with the agent should be given actual notice by the principal, and termination may not be the result of lapse of time. And then continuing is the termination by operation of law, which is relevant third parties do not have to be given notification. The methods is death or insanity of one of the parties, bankruptcy of the principal, and possibility of performance due to the destruction or loss of subject matter, or a change in the law, or an outbreak of war. And then lastly for the chapter is the global dimensions of agency law. And this is the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, which is also known as FCPA. It strictly prohibits payments to foreign political officials beyond a certain level. It stipulates that companies ensure that its employees or hired foreign agents do not violate any provisions of the Act. So that's all I have for Chapter 15 in the agency law. Thank you.